picture here depicts generally the character of Puerto Rico. Now, every state has this same situation here, but they normally put the United States flag first and then the state flag after. Here, Puerto Rico has placed their flag above the flag of the United States. And this just shows the type of attitude that exists in Puerto Rico. They don't seem to appreciate being American. They probably prefer to be Spanish. But my understanding that Spain doesn't want them, so they're stuck here with America. Um, and America's so gracious to allow them to, speak the Spanish and, give a little credence to the English anyway. And so with their bankruptcy, it is sort of inevitable, sort of, because as I lived in Puerto Rico and you watch what's happening, they have no absolute no respect for the American Constitution nor laws. For example, some black people are not welcomed in Puerto Rico or appreciated or given full rights. And I don't understand it clearly because in Puerto Rico, many Dominicans and Haitians are there illegally and so on, and they're generally darker skinned ones. But then the lighter skinned illegal ones are sort of amalgamated or accepted. And there's a place called uh, Pinioles, way almost in the center of the island, far away from the capital, in the bush. There's where the black folks live. When you cross the bridge going to Pinoles, and you see them coming up from the bush, going by the the waterfront, by the beach and so on. I recall when the new governor Padilla was being inaugurated, I put on a suit and I was going to the inauguration. And you'd be surprised that many cars were pulling over to see who is this black guy wearing a suit. It is unacceptable that a black person should be wearing a suit in Puerto Rico. And so, if they give people human rights and the rights that you have in the States, it doesn't mean that necessarily in the other, in the mainland here, that race isn't, racism isn't alive, but it's not as flagrant as in Puerto Rico. Um, they will tell you, man, they prefer you to go over there with money to spend as a tourist, and when it's done, leave. They don't want you around. One guy told me, he said, listen, if we kill you here, nobody cares. But if you kill a Puerto Rican, it matters. I recall one day I was taking a picture of a situation, and the bus driver happened to be a part of the picture. And he came out and he slapped my camera out of my hand. He was trying to slap it out. We got in a fit, kind of pose to fight and everything. And he, hitting me steady. You're hearing it in the video. I had to persuade the police hard. And when they decided to take it to court, the judge said, okay. The defendant, he had an attorney, but the prosecution or me had no attorney. The police was there, and his attorney asked me, said, did he hit you on your head? Did he hit you in your face? Did he hit you in your abdomen? Did he hit you in your back? No, 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 no. I closed my case, Your Honor, and there was no rebuttal. The police didn't ask the question, did he hit you at all? I would have said, yes. Where did he hit you on your hand? And so on, my shoulder, etc. And so the judge said, no, I'm not going to take this over for trial. That's the end of it. And so I felt fearful. I felt as though I better be careful. There was this homosexual guy. I'd liked him as a man. I will help him out anytime he needs money or whatever. But he expected that we're going to get involved in a romance or sort of a romantic relationship, and that was not on my mind. So one morning we were sleeping in the same on the same bed. He at the top of the bunk and I'm at the bottom. He almost busted my head with a hard plastic bottle. And then he says that he had it at his side and he was moving around and slipped down and fell and hit me in the middle of my head, which means that he had to stretch over and hit me in my head. Now, had I got up and hit him back or strike him back or whatever, I would have gone to jail. And so, you don't feel as if the rule of law exists. For example, you might want to do something in Puerto Rico, and you apply for a permit, they'll deny you. But a guy gonna wink you, say, man, if you give me 10 grand here, you got it, bro. You hand him 10 grand, and in the mail would be that permit to do whatever you wanted to do. So it seems as though, just like the rest of Latin America, although they're part of America and should follow the American culture and American laws, they're just like, Chile and those other places in Latin America. And I think that this is really important, and this is probably a reason why they're not flourishing and doing well. They only want handout from America here. They're not interested in basically developing business and other things that would generate income. And they're beside themselves. You recall many years ago they were protesting America doing bombing of the Vegas Islands in military training, and in Puerto Rico itself, at I think it was one of the little cities there, the American had a base, and a lot of Puerto Ricans were working, but they say, America, we don't want you here. And so the unemployment and the economic problems in, I think it has a lot to do with the lawlessness that exists in Puerto Rico. And just recently, the legislature was passing a law that if somebody were to shoot in a moving vehicle, that should be capital punishment or whatever. But in America here, it is already settled that if you um, ignore the value of a human life in shooting into a place where people ought to be, you use a deadly weapon, you had intended to kill the person, and you had killed in a conspiracy of certain type of crimes, like maybe kidnapping or bank robbery or whatever, the death penalty applies. So they're not even accepting American jurisprudence, but they're piecemeal coming up with shooting a car, then you have to go shooting in a building, whereas we have shooting any place where you expect, or where it's expected that people may be. It is capital. And so I really not happy that Puerto Rico has defaulted and perhaps can get bankrupt like Greece or whatever. But it seems as if they really want to prosper, they have to make the rule of law sort of paramount. And so this is just one video I make, and I'll make a several to explain my experience in Puerto Rico and why I think they're going to through this problem as it is.